The groom isn't coming. He left with the bridesmaid.
I'm Hopper Reyes, 29, wedding videographer. I've photographed hundreds of weddings and witnessed countless brides walking down the aisle in white, heading toward men they thought they would spend their lives with. I never cry. Those are their tears. I need steady hands. But at my own wedding, I didn't even set up the camera because the groom didn't show. 10, 11, 12.
The groom's stuck in traffic.
1 o'clock.
Harper, he's not coming. He left with Vivien, your maid of honor. He didn't get lost. He never meant to come.
Dress fitting, Vivien said while zipping it up for me.
Are you sure it's him?
She wasn't checking on me. She was checking.
Thank you all for coming. The groom's not coming. He left with the maid of honor. But the wedding goes on. Food's paid for, no refunds. Band too, shame to waste it. Cake's too big, help me out.
I nodded, and the waiter began serving the dishes. After a moment's hesitation, the band struck up a tune, yet it was not the wedding march. I picked Her. The song goes, "She'll never know how beautiful she is." The bubbles burst in my throat, kind of choked, like everything today. No one left. Maybe pity. Maybe the food was actually good. Mom never talks when she's nervous. She just holds on tighter, Father said.
Heat up. Gets cold, won't taste right.
I chewed it. Couldn't taste a thing. I asked the waiter to bring me some paper and a pen.
Everyone, please, I need your help. Waiters, paper and pen for everyone. Write down one thing you never said out loud. No names, please. Anything you want. Leave it on the table. I'll save them.
A thick stack. Some wrote pages, some just a few words. Like a flock of silent birds. They can't fly, but I caught their weight. Then I understood I'm not the only one who got let down at this wedding. Everyone has words they can't say. After the dinner party, the guests left one after another. I stood at the gate of the manor to see them off, just as every bride should do, except there was no groom by my side. The old lady squeezed my hand as she was leaving and said,
"You'll be all right, child."
I asked her what she had written, and she replied,
"Not anymore. It's past."
A middle-aged man walked past quickly with his head down, not daring to meet my eyes. Perhaps the note bore his wife's name, or maybe that of his lover. I had no idea, yet his hands kept trembling all the while. My parents were the last to leave. Father gave me a hug, and Mother did too. They seemed to have words on their lips, yet said nothing at all. Father looked at me and said,
"Come home."
I nodded. The car drove away, its taillights flickering for an instant at the end of the road. Only the waiters and I stayed behind at the manor. There was still more than half of the cake left. I told them to cut it up, pack the pieces into food containers, and put them in the fridge to be sent to the nursing home tomorrow. The waiters asked if I wanted to take the leftover food with me. I said no, telling them they could have it. I sat on the empty lawn. Grass stains stained the white of my wedding dress. This would be the last time I wore it. Never again. I sat there for a long time until the moon rose and dew soaked the hem of my gown. Early the next morning, I delivered the cake to the nursing home. The staff said, "Thank you." I replied, "You're welcome." There was way too much for me to finish anyway. An elderly lady asked,
Is this wedding candy?
I smiled.
Wedding cake.
Another elderly person sat in the corner, not eating. I asked her why. She shook her head and said,
"My teeth are bad, so I can't chew hard food."
I broke the cake into small pieces for her. She ate slowly with a spoon, tears welling up in her eyes.
There was leftover cake at my wedding too. The groom never showed up. He came eventually 40 years too late. I no longer had the will to wait.
I held her cold hand. I said nothing, for words were unnecessary. She had waited for 40 years, but I would not wait not even a single day. When I got home, I hung the wedding dress back in the wardrobe. This custom-made gown had cost me more than half a year's savings. How much was it worth now? No one wants to buy it. I hung it deep inside the closet, next to an old suit of his. He left it behind when he went away, lingering here like an unhealed wound that no longer bleeds. I reached out and touched the collar. It still faintly held his scent. I called Mark. He said he'd left the city with Vivien and headed south.
Don't take it too hard, Harper.
I told him I wasn't upset. I was just looking for answers why he'd chosen her instead of me. Mark fell silent for a long moment.
I made the wrong choice.
It's just an excuse. But maybe this is the whole truth. Some people make the wrong choice not because you're not worthy, but because they have no idea what they truly want. He thought Vivien was what he desired, yet perhaps he simply didn't want to get married. At the end of the day, he just didn't love you enough. I hung up the phone, letting go of all those tangled thoughts along with it. I started sorting out those slips of paper. I spread them one by one across the table, scribbled in all kinds of pens, including one nearly out of ink whose faint writing was barely legible. I grouped them by theme. One scrap bore only a single line. Mom, I'm sorry. There was no name, no date. I had no clue who'd written it, yet I knew someone had spent ages waiting to hear those words. Another read, I thought you'd beg me to stay. I couldn't tell if the writer was a man or a woman, but I could feel their regret for staying silent back then. Their hands might be empty now, or clasped around someone else's. Still, the strokes of that sentence felt as fresh, as if the ink had yet to dry. Slips of paper covered the entire desk. I stared at them, and they looked like a crowd of homeless children. Their owners left them behind at the wedding, thinking I wouldn't care. They had no idea how much I did. I picked up one note, which read, I never actually wanted to come to this wedding at all, but I showed up just to see her. Who wrote this? The groom's ex-girlfriend? Or someone secretly in love with the bride? I would never find out, but those words remained, preserved forever. I decided to create an installation art piece. Not because I studied art, but because these words did not deserve to be fed into a shredder. They deserved to be seen. I bought a huge whiteboard and set it up in the middle of the room. I stuck all the slips of paper onto it one by one, with no particular order or regard for color, just pasted them randomly together. One note had been folded too tightly and refused to lie flat. I pressed it down with my hands for a long time, yet a faint crease still lingered. It was fine. This was simply what it was meant to look like. Someone called to ask if I wanted to return the wedding gifts. I said no. I needed the money to put on an exhibition. There was a long pause on the line. You lost your mind. Maybe I was crazy, but I had my reasons. That money carried the guests' well wishes. Even if those wishes were meant for the wrong people, the money itself held no fault. I would use it to share all these unspoken words with more people. My parents came to see me. They froze when they saw the whiteboard in the living room.
What's this?
I told them these were the unfinished words left by the guests. They fell silent for a long time. My mother stepped forward and read a few of them, her eyes turning red. She didn't say a word. My father stood far away and didn't come closer. He kept his head down, hands tucked in his pockets. He was never much of a talker, but he was always a good listener. Perhaps among those slips of paper lay the words he'd always wanted to say, yet never voiced.
Harper, are you okay?
I looked at him. He had aged, with much more gray hair. I smiled and said,
I'm fine. It's not me putting on a brave face. I really am okay. All the heartache is behind me now, and those little notes are what keep me going.
They're braver than me, discarded by others, yet here I am putting them up on the wall for everyone to see. If they're not afraid, what have I got to fear? That night, my parents stayed for dinner. I made simple spaghetti, and they ate it, saying it tasted great. As Mom was leaving, she held me in a long hug at the door.
You've never been much of a crier since you were little.
Mom, I don't want to cry. If I cry, I lose.
You've already won a long time ago.
The exhibition venue is a small art gallery on the outskirts of the city, with an affordable rent. The curator's name is Joanna. She stared at the draft of my installation art and fell silent for a long time.
Are you sure you want to display these?
Yes.
This isn't beautiful art.
I know. These are wounds.
Then let the wounds be on display.
The exhibition is scheduled for a month later. I threw myself into preparations for it. I laminated every single slip of paper to keep them from getting damaged by visitors' touches. Some of the paper edges are frayed, while others are crumpled from countless folds. I left them as they were, not smoothing out a single crease. This is how they truly are, like unspoken words stuck fast in one's throat. Mark came to see me once. He stood in front of the whiteboard and stared at it for a long time. He said,
Harper, you're stronger than I thought.
It's not strength. I just don't want to be weak anymore.
He reached out to hold me, but I neither pulled away nor leaned into him. He dropped his arms, stood there for a moment, then left. As he walked out the door, I watched him wipe his eyes. On the opening day of the exhibition, not many people showed up. Joanna said this was normal, as the small art gallery had no budget for promotion. I stood at the entrance of the exhibition hall and handed a blank postcard to every visitor who walked in. You can write down something you've wanted to say today but haven't dared to, then drop it into that mailbox when you're done. The mailbox was something I picked up at a secondhand market, covered in rust. Some wrote, others did not. Those who wrote stayed behind. Those who didn't wandered around the gallery and left. They didn't know the slips of paper knew nothing about them, yet they recognized the words sentences squeezed out of other people's wounds. A couple walked in hand. The guy stopped in front of the wall, covered with notes, pointed to one, and said,
"This handwriting looks just like mine."
The girl leaned over to read it, fell silent for a moment, then the two embraced. I had no idea what was written on that slip of paper, yet it spoke something on their behalf. On the third day of the exhibition, an unexpected visitor showed up. It was Vivien's mother. She stood in front of the wall, covered with notes, and stared for a long time. I walked over to her.
Auntie. Harper, I'm sorry. She's the one who wronged you.
I looked at her face. She wore no makeup, with heavy dark circles under her eyes as if she hadn't slept for days.
Is she doing well now? She regrets it. He took all the money and left her with nothing.
I nodded, saying nothing. That wasn't what I cared to know. What I wanted to figure out was whether she regretted hurting me or only regretted picking the wrong person. As Vivien's mother was leaving, I walked her to the door. She turned to look at me and said,
She will come looking for you.
She won't, and she doesn't dare. None of those slips bear her handwriting. She's incapable of writing them. It's not me she feels guilty about, it's herself. I stayed late at the exhibition hall that night. Joanna brought me takeout, and we sat in the corner to eat. She asked me,
Do you hate her? I don't hate. Hating someone takes effort. But it saved my energy for the next exhibition. You've just finished one exhibition and you're already thinking about the next?
I nodded. There were still countless notes left, words unspoken. This exhibition was only the beginning. So many voices still hadn't been heard. I nodded again. So many more notes. So many unfinished thoughts. This show was merely a start, and countless people's words remained unheard. Rain started falling outside, drumming dully against the glass ceiling. It suddenly hit me that my wedding day had been sunny too, until rain rolled in by dusk. Back then, I thought the sky was weeping for me, but later I realized I had no need for the heavens to cry on my behalf. I could do that all by myself. He showed up on the 5th day of the exhibition, my ex-fiancé, Sebastian. He came alone, wearing a worn jacket, unshaven, his hair grown long. He lingered by the entrance, not stepping inside. I was deep in the gallery and caught sight of him through the wall, covered in handwritten notes. He hadn't spotted me, or maybe he had, yet chose to pretend otherwise. He stood there, staring at the wall covered with countless words. I walked over and said,
Why are you here?
I don't know.
He walked slowly toward the wall covered in notes, as if treading on shards of broken glass. Standing before it, he searched for the slip he'd written. But he hadn't written anything at all. He'd left no words behind. He didn't know what to say, or perhaps there was far too much he wanted to express for a single piece of paper to hold.
Harper, I'm sorry.
Save your apologies for Vivien. They're not meant for me.
He opened his mouth but said nothing, then turned and left. I stayed where I stood, making no move to chase him. All the notes on the wall seemed to watch him, strangers to his face. Yet together, they voiced the unanswerable question weighing on countless hearts. Why? When I chose to trust you, did you choose to run away? His footsteps faded away at the end of the corridor. I walked back to the wall of notes and stared at all the words, my hands trembling. It wasn't that he'd come that shook me, but the realization that I no longer cared he was here at all. Perhaps this was the truest kind of healing. After the exhibition closed, Joanna wanted to buy my installation art.
How much is it?
It's not for sale.
So you want to keep it? I want to donate them to a nursing home. Not the physical notes themselves, but all the words written on them. The elderly residents might want to hear these stories too. You're a strange person. Thank you.
I dismantled the wall covered with slips of paper from the exhibition hall piece by piece, loaded them back onto a truck, and transported everything to the nursing home. The staff helped me mount it on the wall of the activity room. After meals, the elderly residents would come over to look at it. Some could read, while others could not. Those who could not read would stand there for a while, gazing at the creases and ink stains. They understood these were words others had wanted to say but never finished.
What does it say here?
Dad, are you doing well over there? I'm fine here. I just miss you a little.
I miss my dad too.
She shuffled forward slowly in slippers, her back hunched. She never wrote anything on the slips of paper, yet there was a letter locked deep in her heart, one left unsent, perhaps for decades. The elderly at the nursing home started sticking new slips of paper to the wall. This was no exhibition, just words they truly wanted to write down. An elderly man wrote, "My dear, it's been 3 years since you left. I'm wearing the sweater you bought me today. It's a little tight now." The handwriting was shaky and uneven, yet I could tell he'd written every word with all his heart. An elderly woman wrote, "Son, I don't blame you for not coming to see me. I know you're busy, but when you're free, come visit me." She stood there, staring at the words for a long time after finishing writing. I didn't know if her son would ever show up, yet the mother was still waiting. The director of the nursing home said that ever since the wall of notes was moved here, the elderly residents have become much more talkative. Instead of merely sitting in the corridor lost in thought, they point at the slips and say, "I feel exactly the same way." It turns out that quiet people do not lack things to say, they simply have nowhere to voice them. Those words are too fragile, liable to be swept away by the wind, yet too heavy, likely to weigh down anyone who listens. Only when pasted up here do they rest just right. I visit the wall once a week. More and more notes pile up, layered one over another like fallen leaves. I added a slip in the corner myself. "Harper, you did the right thing." It hangs there, nestled alongside everyone else's regrets. No one can see the sorrow buried in my heart, yet I have preserved it all the same. Vivien came to my house. She stood at the doorway, much thinner, with her hair cut short and no polish on her fingernails. She wore an old overcoat with frayed cuffs. I invited her in, but she lingered in the entryway, refusing to step further inside.
Harper, I'm sorry. Come in.
She walked in and sat down on the sofa, not knowing what to do with her hands. She asked me if that exhibition was still on. I told her it was at the nursing home. She froze for a moment and said,
So do you forgive me?
Vivien, do you know why I don't hate you? Because to hate you is to care about you. And I don't care anymore.
Tears rolled down her cheeks, one drop, then another. She didn't wipe them, just let them stream. I didn't hand her any tissue. When she'd cried her fill, she dried her tears herself.
I deserve it. You don't deserve this. You just took the wrong path and you can choose another one.
Vivien told me Sebastian left and took all the money with him, leaving her with nothing. She's working 2 jobs now and renting a basement room. She's filled with regret.
I don't regret leaving with him. What I regret is drifting apart from you.
I stared at her. Her face had thinned out, her cheekbones prominent, and the fine lines around her eyes deeper than before.
Vivien, we owe each other nothing. Everything you owed me has been repaid. Reducing yourself to this state is how you've paid it back.
She didn't understand, yet she didn't ask. Maybe she didn't want to grasp it, or maybe the pain was too sharp. She paused for a moment at the door as she left.
Harper, you look better than you used to.
Those words weighed lighter than any writing on that note, yet I caught them all the same. I shut the door and leaned against it, listening to the clack of her high heels fade into the distance. She never looked back, and I never opened the door. I held my first solo exhibition with the wedding cash gifts. It was not an installation art show, but a photography exhibition. I captured the hands of brides from weddings over those years. Some hands were young, some old, some plump, some thin, yet every pair longed to be held. The gallery space was small, but more visitors came than the last time.
You filmed my wedding.
A bride recognized me. I nodded, said,
Has your husband arrived? Here they are, over there.
She pointed to a man in the corner holding a sleeping child. She held out her hand, and I took a photo. That was my last shot of the day. Her hand felt so warm. As she looked at the photo, a thought suddenly crossed my mind. The wedding itself isn't what matters most. It's the life that comes after it. The hands of her husband holding their child were firmer than the hands that clutched the wedding bouquet on their big day. I suddenly felt unafraid, no longer scared of marriage. What I feared was marrying the wrong person. After the photography exhibition, I received a letter. There was no signature, only a photograph inside the envelope. It showed a pair of aged hands covered in wrinkles with neatly trimmed short fingernails set against the corridor of a nursing home. A line of words was written on the back of the photo. "M.R. Joe, at the nursing home. Thank you for your wall covered with notes. He asked me to write a line on his behalf. Dad, I miss you." Who is M.R.? Joe? I have no idea, but I know his hands. I've captured them in my photos. I taped the picture to the wall of my studio. side by side with shots of brides' hands. The bride's hands are beautiful, and so are Marjot's. All of them once held onto something tightly. Vivien showed up again. She didn't cry this time and brought a bouquet of bright yellow sunflowers. She said,
Harper, I've landed a job at a flower shop. The owner provides room and board.
I took the flowers and put them in a vase by the windowsill. She said,
I've broken up with Sebastian completely. He signed the papers. Are you sad? I'm not sad. It's a relief.
I didn't ask her for details. There was no need. When some people leave, they're gone for good. Not every parting needs a ceremony. She didn't stay long. After she left, the sunflowers drooped for a while. Once I watered them, they perked back up. Flowers are tougher than people. I started teaching the elderly residents at the nursing home how to take photos. It's nothing professional, just using their cell phones. I showed them how to focus and press the shutter button. They took pictures of windows, hallways, trees outside, and each other's wrinkled faces. One old lady took a photo of me. She said,
Harper, you look beautiful even when you're not smiling.
I laughed, and she captured the moment. It was a photo where I smiled wide enough to show my gums, yet it wasn't ugly at all. It was genuine. She asked me,
Can this photo be developed? Then wash it for me. I'm going to hang it by the bed head.
I washed it for her. When I brought it over, her bedside wall was already covered with photos of her family. She clipped mine right at the very edge, yet fastened it tightly. The theme of my second photography exhibition is Hands of the Elderly. I took photos of more than a dozen pairs of hands from seniors living in a nursing home, with each photograph paired with a line of words the elderly person wanted to say. They did not write these words themselves. I wrote them down on their behalf. One elderly man told me, "These hands once held oxen, gripped plows, and clasped my wife's hands. Now they no longer have the strength to hold anything." In the photo, his hands rest open on his knees, with knuckles swollen and dirt still trapped beneath his fingernails. He was a farmer in his youth, and his wife has been gone for 5 years. No one holds those hands anymore, yet they have held so much over a lifetime. The exhibition was held at another gallery owned by Helen, drawing an even larger crowd than my first show. Some visitors shed tears as they looked at the photos. Some smiled, and others stood silently for a very long time. A young girl walked up to that particular photograph and burst into tears. I could not tell what moved her to cry. Perhaps she thought of her own grandfather, or remembered the hands that once held hers. I chose not to ask.
Will you still shoot weddings in the future? I won't shoot weddings anymore. Then what will you photograph?
I'll photograph life itself. Life is more than just weddings. It holds everything that comes after. After a bride's hands clutch a bridal bouquet, they will go on to hold diapers, kitchen knives, and brooms. Those hands deserve to be seen too. I've started a new photo series. I capture mothers' hands in supermarkets, workers' hands in factories, and nurses' hands in hospitals. They don't know I'm taking pictures. I shoot candidly. Yet the natural stances of these hands are far more touching than any posed shot. No rings adorn their fingers, yet they carry countless, unseen, weightless burdens. In one photograph, a woman pushes a shopping cart with her left hand while holding her child's hand with her right, 3 bags hanging from her wrist. Her fingers are bruised purple from the plastic bag straps, yet she never lets go. I printed this photo and displayed it at the exhibition, titling it Hand That Hold On. No one knows who she is, yet everyone recognizes her. She is a mother, a wife, a daughter, someone who refuses to loosen her grip on life. The elderly folks at the nursing home started calling me the one who photographs hands. Not a photographer, just the one who photographs hands. I quite like that name. No fancy title, only an action. Capture hands. Always capture hands. Through other people's hands, I photograph my own heart. Vivien lost her job at the flower shop. The owner sold the store, leaving her with nowhere to go. She asked if she could come work for me, but I told her I didn't need any extra help. She fell silent. I paused for a moment.
But I can teach you how to take photos. Really? Honestly, a phone is all you need.
She started learning photography from me, taking one photo every day and sending them to me. Her very first shot was the sky outside the window, a vivid blue, but the frame was tilted. I showed her how to straighten the horizon. The second one was level, yet overexposed. The third had proper lighting, but lacked any meaningful subject. It took her a whole week to capture a decent picture. It depicted a cat squatting beside a trash bin, its eyes filled with stubborn defiance. She said,
That's me.
I said nothing. She said,
Harper, am I like that cat?
I said you're like her, not because of the trash can, but because you're still standing there. She didn't understand, but she snapped the next photo. Vivien's photography skills have improved by leaps and bounds. She told me she wanted to visit a nursing home to take photos of the elderly, so I went with her. The seniors all took a liking to her. She's talkative and always grinning. She took pictures for them, and they happily posed for her. Once she took a portrait of Mr. Zhou, who has since passed away. What she didn't know then was that this shot would be Mr. Zhou's last photograph. I had the photo printed and gave it to her. She stared at the picture and said,
He was laughing so happily.
I said he looked happy because someone was willing to take his picture. That night, Vivien sent me a message. Harper, I want to be a photographer someday. I replied, You already are one. She didn't write back, but the next day, she posted a photo. It showed the sky at dawn, a muted slate blue split by a crack, with light streaming through the rift. She captioned it with a line, Cracks are where the light gets in. I liked the post, without leaving a word. Sebastian was diagnosed with a serious illness and admitted to hospital. Vivien called to tell me, but I didn't visit him. It wasn't that I was heartless, it simply wasn't necessary. The woman by his bedside now wasn't her. He'd long since moved on to another young woman. Vivien was already there, and my presence would only be out of place. Vivien said, He asked about you. What did he ask? He asked how you're doing. I told him you're fine. She didn't reply after that, and I have no idea if she passed the message along. One day I thought, if he lies in that hospital bed thinking about me, he's got far too much weighing on his mind. It's not that he owes me, he owes himself. I don't hate him anymore, nor do I wish him dead. I've simply let him fade from my heart. I held a small retrospective exhibition. I brought together photos of my wedding, the wall covered with slips of paper, the elderly folks' hands, Vivien's cat, and the door through which Sebastian walked away. The show was titled Unfinished. Lots of people came on opening day. My parents showed up, as did Vivien and Joanna. Sebastian did not come, he was stuck in the hospital. Vivien helped me greet the guests, acting more like the host than I was. She chatted and smiled at everyone, handing out water, guiding them around, and introducing the exhibits. She didn't know that among all the works hung there was the note she owed me. She never put pen to paper, yet her eyes spoke volumes. To me, she was never merely the bridesmaid, she was the other bride from that day. She ran away too, only she could never escape herself. On the final day of the exhibition, I placed a mirror in the corner of the gallery. A slip of paper was taped to it, reading, Who do you owe? There were no pens provided. Visitors stood before the glass, gazing at their own reflections. Some bowed their heads and left. Some froze in a daze, and others shed tears. I could not know who crossed their minds, yet all debts must be settled in the end. Not to me, but to themselves. Vivien stood in front of the mirror for a long time. She did not cry or utter a single word. She only stared at her own reflection. Then she turned and left. After the exhibition closed, I brought the mirror home and set it in the entryway. I glance at it every morning before heading out, a quiet reminder to myself, I owe no one anything anymore. And whatever others owe me, I choose to let go. After Sebastian was discharged from the hospital, he asked to meet me at a cafe, the same spot where we had our first date. He looked aged and gaunt, his hair almost completely white. His illness hadn't been cured. The doctor said he still needed ongoing monitoring. He looked at me and said,
Harper, do you hate me?
I don't hate you. I just don't need you anymore.
I can never repay what I owe you in this lifetime.
It's fine. I've stopped keeping score.
He fell silent, sunlight streaming across the side of his face from the window. Tears welled up in his eyes, yet none spilled out. Stepping out of the cafe, he stood by the door and asked,
Can we still be friends?
No, because I don't need to.
He nodded, then turned and left. His figure looked frail. The wind billowed his coat. I stood rooted to the spot, unmoving. Ginkgo leaves scattered along the road crinkled softly underfoot. The leaves bore no names, yet every single one had once been a vibrant shade of green. I didn't cry. I walked to the bus stop across the street and waited. When the bus arrived, I got on and took a seat by the window. The city outside rushed backward. All the streets we'd once wandered together were nothing but scenery now. Vivien's photography studio has opened. It's small with affordable rent. She invited me to the ribbon cutting. Her walls are covered with photos she shot, one of which features Mr. Zhou. He's wearing a wide, joyful smile. Vivien said,
Harper, thank you.
You're welcome. You walk this path all by yourself.
I cut the red silk ribbon, and the crowd around us applauded. She threw her arms around me and cried. I patted her back without saying a word. Mr. Joe from the nursing home has passed away. Before he died, he left a line on the note wall. Harper, thank you for letting me say those words. He had no way of knowing if I would see it, but I did. I took a photo of the slip of paper and saved it on my phone. I've deleted many photos over time, yet I never got rid of this one. Short as it is compared to any Last Testament, it bears far greater weight than all of them. I went back to the nursing home and stood in front of the wall covered with notes. Mr. Zoe's message was tucked in the farthest corner, its paper edges curled up. I reached out and smoothed it flat. My fingertips met the cool surface of the paper. His handwriting had faded a little, yet the words "thank you" remained perfectly clear. I retaped it securely with clear adhesive tape. Vivien got married. It wasn't a grand wedding, just a simple ceremony at City Hall with 2 witnesses, her and me. She wore a white dress, not a wedding gown. She'd bought it on sale at the mall. Her husband is a truck driver, a man of few words, whose eyes crinkle into soft curves when he smiles. He calls her Vivi, and she calls him Luo. After they finished signing the papers, she looked at me and said,
Harper, thank you. You've come this far all by yourself.
She smiled, tears glistening in her reddened eyes. I handed her a tissue, but she declined and wiped them with the back of her hand. Her husband slipped an arm around her shoulders, and she leaned against him. I lifted my phone and snapped a photo of their hands intertwined. I never told Vivien, yet that shot of clasped hands was the finest I'd ever taken, not for its beauty, but for the certainty that they would never let go of each other again. I sent that photo to Vivien, and after receiving it, she sent me a message. Harper, when will you take a picture of yourself? I never replied. She didn't know I'd already taken one of myself, not with a camera, but with my heart. I closed my photography studio. It wasn't a failure, I'd simply had enough. I no longer wanted to photograph other people's hands. I wanted to capture my own. I bought an old film camera and head out every day to shoot. The sky, the leaves, shadows. No faces, no hands. Only things that don't need a backstory yet, hold stories all their own. Once I passed that cafe, the one where Sebastian and I had our first date, it was undergoing renovations. Mounds of sand piled by the entrance, half the sign torn down. I paused, lifted my camera, and took a shot. The shutter clicked softly, like a quiet sigh. Yet once I'd finished, I turned and left. No lingering longing, only a simple record. Vivien is pregnant. She sent over the ultrasound photo and said, Luo went crazy with joy. I replied, "Congratulations." She said, "Will you be the baby's godmother?" I said yes. I've prepared a gift for the unborn baby. It's neither clothes nor toys, but a blank photo album. On the title page, it reads, "When you grow up, take photos yourself." I won't document her life for her. Instead, I'll wait for her to record her own story. Vivien called me, crying. I listened to her sobs as rain fell outside the window. I said,
Harper, you're so good to me.
I'm not being nice to you, I'm being nice to the baby you're carrying. She deserves a godmother who laughs and cries with her.
She burst into a smile through her tears and hung up the phone. The elderly folks at the nursing home started calling me Teacher Harper. It wasn't because I taught them photography, but because they couldn't remember my name. Teacher was easy to recall, while Harper slipped their minds. I never corrected them, let them call me teacher if they wanted. Little did they know, I was the one learning. From them, I learned how to grow old, how to wait, and how to pin all the unspoken words up on the wall. Sebastian's back in the hospital again. It's serious this time. His new girlfriend called to ask if I wanted to visit him. I hesitated for a long time, then said no. She didn't press me and hung up. Later, Vivien told me he'd asked about me. Asked what? If you'd forgiven him? I said nothing in reply. Forgiving him isn't something a simple "I forgive you" can fix. It's about the thorn lodged deep in my heart finally stopping its ache. I pressed a hand to my chest. The pain was gone. Still, I would never tell him so. He doesn't need my forgiveness, he needs to forgive himself. And that's something I can never give him. Vivien's daughter was born, and they named her Ella. Only one character different from my name. She texted me, "I hope she'll be as brave as you." My eyes stung as I read those words. Brave? I'm just tired of being let down again and again. Ella, be braver than your godmother. Dare to love without fearing heartbreak. Dare to say no without fearing loss. Those are the words I've always wanted to say, but never could. The wall covered with slips of paper has grown thicker. New notes overlap the old ones, many edges curling up. I stand before the wall, searching for the one I stuck up. It takes me a long time to find it. Harper, you did the right thing. Somewhere along the way, another line has appeared beside it. She's right. Who are you? I don't know you, but thank you. My eyes grow damp reading that thank you. I have no idea who wrote it. It might be the elderly grandma, maybe Mr. Joe's family, or just a stranger passing by. It doesn't matter. The note exists, and that is enough. Vivien's swamped with looking after the baby, and rarely sends photos these days. Every once in a while, though, she'll share one with a line. My girl smiled today, just like you. I text back. As pretty as me? She replies, prettier. I smile. In that moment, I know my wounds have truly healed, not just scabbed over, but covered with brand new skin. My film camera is broken. The shutter won't fire, and the display screen won't light up. I took it to get repaired. After the technician opened the back cover, he said,
The film roll ran out ages ago, yet you never bothered to replace it.
I froze. How long has it been? He said impatiently.
I don't know, but the film's already fully exposed.
I bought a new roll of film and loaded it. When I pressed the shutter again, it clicked smoothly.
Are you a photographer?
No, I'm just the one clapping.
He didn't understand, nor did he press for details. I walked out of the repair shop into bright sunshine. I lifted the camera, pointed it toward the sky, and pressed the shutter. I didn't need to wait for the film to be developed to know exactly what this shot meant. I'd finally learned to take photos, not for anyone else, only for myself. Vivien's daughter can walk now, tottering about like a young pony just learning to stand. Vivien sent me a video. The little girl called out godmother to the camera. Her voice was soft, yet clear and crisp. I sent a voice message back. Ella, godmother's waiting for you. She understood and broke into laughter, the sound flowing like a gurgling stream. That wall, covered with notes, was submitted by the nursing home director for a Guinness World Record, titled The World's Largest Collection of Unfinished Words. I don't know if it's genuine, but the newspaper did run a story about it. The director called to thank me, yet I told him there was no need. Those words never belonged to me, they were all theirs. I merely helped tape them up on the wall. Reporters came to interview me.
What was your original intention?
That was my original intention. These words would exist even without me, they just would have gone unseen.
Are you happy now?
I gaze out the window. Vivien's sunflowers are still blooming. I brought back cuttings to nurture after moving here, and they've blossomed once more.
Happiness is not the point. Peace is.
Photos from the exhibition were compiled and published as a book titled Hands. There is no preface, no afterword, only photographs. Open it, and every page holds a pair of hands. Her hands, another woman's hands, more hands. No names, no backstories, yet each pair speaks volumes. I keep the book by my bedside and flip through one page before bed. I never finish it. Seeing just one pair of hands is enough to calm my heart. Vivien's daughter is 3 years old. She came to the nursing home to see me, clutching a sunflower in her hand, and ran right up to me.
Godmother, this is for you.
I knelt down and took the flower. Her eyes sparkled as she asked,
Do you like it?
Yes, I like it.
She ran back happily and threw herself into Vivien's arms. Vivien smiled at me, and I smiled back. Vivien told me later that Sebastian was gone. He didn't run off again. He'd passed away from liver disease after a long struggle. I didn't attend his memorial service, not out of cruelty, but because there was no need. I'd already let go of him while he was alive. His passing only made it easier to move on. Vivien said he'd left a letter for me, though she hadn't given it to anyone yet. She asked if I wanted to read it, and I said no. She simply nodded. That night, I still cried. Not for him, but for the version of myself who once believed in him. After crying, I washed my face and went to bed. The next day, I headed to the nursing home to take photos as usual, teaching the elderly how to press the shutter just like every other day. Vivien's daughter has started learning to take photos. She uses Vivien's old discarded phone to snap pictures of her mother, her father, and her little rabbit. She took a photo of me with a tilted angle and dim lighting, yet she had it developed and gave it to me with a ready-made plastic frame. I place it on my nightstand, side by side with the book, Hands. One day she asked me,
Godmother, why do you always take pictures?
I looked at her. She was 7 years old, and her eyes still sparkled brightly.
Because hands never lie.
She held up her own hands and turned them over and over, staring at them. She didn't understand, yet she kept looking. Luo bought a new truck and took Vivien and Ella into town for fun. Ella sat in the passenger seat, and Lao Luo drove slowly. Vivien snapped a photo of the sunset reflected in the rearview mirror and sent it to me. I saved it. No particular reason. I just wanted to. Those moments don't belong to me, yet I keep them safe for her, just like I tend to that wall covered in notes. An elderly lady from the nursing home passed away, the one whose hands I'd photographed. The day before she left, she stuck a new note on the wall. Thank you, Harper. I didn't see it until the next day. Her handwriting was messy and slanted. It was the last thing she ever wrote. Her grip on the pen was already feeble, yet she managed to finish every word. Her bed sits empty, and a new elderly resident has moved in. On his very first day, he walked up to the wall covered in notes and asked me. I said she could. She stared for a long time, then asked,
Can I look at all of these?
I said she could. She stared for a long time, then asked,
Can I write?
Yes, you can. She took the pen and wrote her first line. My name is Margaret. Her handwriting was neat and tidy. Then she added another line. I miss my son. The words hung on the note wall, like a letter sent to her son who would never come. My name is Harper Reyes. I was once a bride left at the altar, and now I am someone who photographs hands. Not the flower-clutching hands at weddings, but the working hands woven into ordinary life. Those hands wear no rings, yet they have held so many things, hope and despair alike. In the end, they learn to hold fast to themselves. I walk into the nursing home and stand before the wall covered with slips of paper. The wall is densely lined now, layered with countless notes, some faded yellow with age, others freshly stuck on. Sunlight streams through the windows, spilling over all the words. One slip reads, I forgive you. No one knows who the words are meant for. Another says, thank you. No one knows whom the gratitude belongs to. Yet all of them hang here, glowing like rows of small lamps. Vivien's daughter ran over and took my hand.
Godmother, I want to write too.
I handed her a pen, and she leaned against the wall to write, I love my godmother. The characters were big and scrawled, taking up the space of 2 slips of paper. I stuck it up at the very top, where I can see it every time I come. My name is Harper. I've photographed countless hands, brides' hands, the elderly's hands, mother's hands, nurses' hands. I don't take as many photos these days. Yet every time I see a pair of hands, I can't help but wonder, what have they held? What have they lost? What are they still waiting for? The wall of notes holds no answers to these questions, but it's enough that someone has asked them. The lights in the nursing home went out, leaving only the wall covered with notes glowing down the hallway. Tomorrow, sunlight will stream in. All the aches are gone now.